Grouse Show this week, I'm talking to David F. Sandberg and Gary Dauberman, the creators of Until Dawn.
And we join the Boneheads in discussing the year that was 1990.
And a particularly pervy movie battle.
Private Lessons and My Tutor.
Fucking what was that? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Good Movie Monday. We are the weekly podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. Great to have you on board. We are, of course, we're a podcast hosted by us, Glenn Cochran, Ben Helwig. Thanks for dropping by. Let's get the directives out of the way right now. So just go to our website, goodmoviemonday.com. From there, you have directives. You can go to all of our social media platforms. We're not going to name them. They're all there. Just do it. But I will say, if you do go to YouTube, make sure you click the bell because you get notified of any new videos that drop, and we do drop videos regularly. So your video on TikTok last week is starting to blow up. Which was the most offensive one. You've hit that algorithm. It's that 2 seconds of this is the most offensive thing I've ever said. Yeah. And people stick around apparently.
They can only cancel you if you let them. They can only cancel you if you let them. They can only cancel
but we did call their bluff by completely censoring everything you said.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we removed it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I haven't watched it. So, did you do that?
We did.
Yeah, awesome.
We did. Look, we don't often plug this, but we probably should. If you want more of us, you can go to the Movie Land podcast as well. We're on that. We do a little bit of an outro segment where we just talk about old movies. That's all we do. That is pretty much all we're good for in life, isn't it?
As this current trend of ours of going through the years of movie releases, really, it's either brand new or it's old. We rarely talk about movies from the 2010s or the 2000.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there. That is the nature of the countdown, isn't it? Speaking of, 1990 is this week's year, and I feel like we're getting to that. What do you call it? That precipice. The drop off.
Dropping off.
The drop off comes in a couple of weeks' time.
I don't know because starting at just 91, 92 is the indie.
Yeah.
The indie movie boom.
And the video boom.
And then, And then, 90s horror.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think there's not going to be any shortage of movies released. It's just the quality of
them. I mean, I know I've gone a bit of a different direction with this week's one.
Yep.
Rather than like we usually do, just list all of the great films. I've put together a small list of movies from this year that I haven't seen that I want to see.
Okay, I like that.
Just to embarrass myself because when you hear the list, you're like, "Are you fucking?"
Well, I mean, that's an invitation to comment, isn't it?
Yeah.
If anything. So now that all the preamble intro is out of the way, again, welcome everybody. Can we finally talk about Police Academy Mission to Moscow, please? This is something we should have spoken about last week because before last week's show, we sat down and watched Mission to Moscow because, once again, it's another film you hadn't seen.
I hadn't seen. It's the one Police Academy film that, for whatever reason, I think the reason, having seen it, the reason is obvious. Just an innate warning sense of quality.
You weren't to know.
Yeah.
Although everyone's told you.
Yeah. Look, it still had Drew Struzan artwork, but when even... what's his name? His name's... Is Nick in the show? What's the guy's name from Deep Star 6? And,
I can't remember.
Hard Bounty and the guy who's the replacement Mahoney in 5 and 6.
Oh, that's Matt McCoy?
Matt McCoy.
Yeah.
So even Matt McCoy has gone, pass.
Yeah, I know. And they've replaced the type has been replaced with Charlie Schlatter in this one.
Yeah. Who you get when you can't afford Christian Slater?
Or Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
It was terrible. It was god-awful.
It was. I was actually a bit surprised at the amount of laughs I did have during it, though. There were a couple of moments I'm like, that I shouldn't be laughing, but that's kind of so dumb it's funny.
Yeah. I feel like I would have been, the whole movie would have been me during the end of Working Man, where I'm just going, oh, God, another ending? Another ending? How many more? Is this just another sound gag? No one does.
Bloody Michael Winslow.
Leslie Estabrook does not really use her bust in the film.
Not in this one.
Michael Winslow does not do voices and stuff in the film. Tackleberry pulls out his gun, once? Maybe twice in the film? Like,
I mean,
Captain Harris is the only one who sticks to, and Lassard stick to their characters.
That's where the last were. It was all with Lassard, wasn't it? With the family he moves in with.
He's just like, I mean, they got the idea, obviously got the idea from Assignment Miami Beach, where they're like, Lassard is just funnier if he's off on his own.
Yeah, just bumbling around.
Yeah. Mr. Magoo style.
Yeah, that's 100%. I'm thinking about the Leslie Uster book with the boobs and all that. I'm wondering if it's, I mean, contrary to the fact that Russia has the most, like, rank porno in the world, but maybe there are standards that they...
Does it?
Maybe they were the first, I think, American production to film in Russia.
Yes.
this movie. Maybe there were certain standards that they couldn't pull off with the sex comedy stuff. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's quite possible.
I don't know that Russia
you would
has
think
the most
that all
dank
of that stuff-
pornography.
You think all of that stuff, though, would be stuff that they can shoot inside, so
Or in
they
America.
do it in the studio. Yeah,
Go
at
back to
home.
America and get your
Yeah,
tits out.
and put the inserts in. You know, like Bob Guccione in Caligula. I wait for everyone to go home and then I put the porn in, or like Mute Witness.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
do it in Mute Witness. They got no problem making snuff in Russia in Mute Witness.
Mm-hmm.
So
True, it's true.
you think they couldn't have added just a couple of titty jokes into a Police Academy movie?
So there we go. We can strike that one off your future podcast of movies that you haven't seen.
So, yeah. Thank God. As long as no guest on the show also chooses that as the movie they've never seen.
Well, that's true. I'm just glad I got to watch it with you.
You got to experience it. You got to watch it through my eyes, and they were not. They were roomy and slightly watery eyes.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
Terrific TV Tuesday time.
Jesus.
I like to repeat the gag if I can.
Well, what nobody knows is that he did that exact same thing, and I talked all over it, and I said, "Do it again." You did it like pitch perfect.
Pitch perfect.
Yeah,
Like I'm off pitch, but I'm perfectly off pitch every time.
that's right. It's terrific.
This is following a trend of this week's show.
Uh huh.
Because the TV show I watched is related to a movie that I haven't seen.
Okay.
That now I have to watch.
Because you've seen the show.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, or maybe 3 episodes of the show. It's Dead Zone from 2013
right.
with.
I was going to ask you if I could guess it, but you jumped
Oh,
straight
sorry.
in there. That's all right.
Sorry. Yeah, that would be a really great game.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall, Nicole DeBauer, David Ogden Stiers from MASH is in it. And it's based on the 1983 Christopher Walken film based on the Stephen King novel,
Yep.
which I haven't seen. I watched the first 3 episodes. Then I watched the trailer for the film. And now I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch any more. Because like the only thing so far that kind of that is the same that I can tell from the trailer is when he first wakes up, the nurse who wakes him up, he touches her and can see that her house is on fire and her daughter's trapped in the fire. And that's the same. So now I'm like, I don't want to ruin any other good bits from the movie. I will say the thing that is most disturbing about the film is when they do the kind of flashbacks to before he has the accident, before he spends the 6 years or whatever it is in coma. Christopher Walken's hair, like it's like they brush it down to make him look younger.
Should never be down.
And it's so weird.
Should
He
never
just
be
looks
down.
like a really creepy kind of. You're like, how's he got himself a girlfriend? And like, I don't know if he's a teacher like he is in the TV series. I don't know what he does
I
for
can't
a job.
recall.
But it wouldn't work. But the TV show, I remember when it came out.
Yep.
And it feels like it came out around the same time as a lot of those like Medium and Ghost Whisperer and all that sort of stuff. They were kind of big. And this fits right into that.
Yep.
You know, that kind of genre. And
Millennium? Remember Millennium? Yeah.
Millennium was always more X-Files. Like
Well, it was a
the
spin-off.
it was the X-Files thing with the Lone Gunman, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, Mulder and Scully did an episode with him. They did or it was Lance Henriksen came into X-Files. They did a crossover
Did a
episode.
thing, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you remember that newspaper show where he gets tomorrow's newspaper today? Do you remember that one with
Not really. It sounds great just from that alone.
yeah, Early Edition, that's what it was called.
No.
Early Edition, and they did a crossover with Martial Law, the Samarang TV series. Like what of all the things to do, like that because I didn't realize all of those Early Edition type, they're all paid for or by like the church.
Yeah.
because they're like, it's a higher power sending him the paper to, you know.
Yeah.
You're like, that never occurred to me until my boss at the video store told me, and I was like, that's outrageous. Like, you've ruined the whole show for me now.
You've been indoctrinated.
Yeah. Now I believe it. I don't like it.
It's like when I had the video store, and you probably remember this. Scientology used to send you free DVDs of documentaries, but they never had Scientology written on them.
Yeah.
They were just like, you know, very anti psychiatry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you ever put any on your shelf?
No, the only one that we put on the shelf was the breast exam one, but then a co-worker of mine ended up... They kind of had to take it away because he kept playing it in the shop. Anytime a customer would come in, he'd be like, check this out, boobs. And he'd put it on because it was E-rated. So he's like, I can do that.
That's hilarious. Excellent. So that's your show?
That's mine.
Fantabulous. You know what I've watched this week? I watched a new show to me called Dairy Girls, which came out in 2018 and ran for 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. And I fell upon this by chance. Like, I'd never heard of it before. I'm surprised I hadn't, but I don't even recall. I think I was just scrolling through TV shows, you know, from a certain bracket in time, and it just popped up. I thought this was wonderful. I described it to you as St. Trinian's meets In-Betweeners.
Yeah, it's definitely the natural successor to In-Betweeners.
Yeah, and it's an all-female cast except for one guy.
Who they treat like absolute shit.
And it's about a group of schoolgirls living in a town called Derry, which is right in the centre of the Troubles. If you know about the Bloody Sunday Massacre, that took place in Derry. But this show takes place in the late 90s, so it's sort of as the Troubles are almost winding up.
Yeah.
It's still in the peripheral. But that's the best thing about it is it's happening in the background, but it's never pivotal to the story.
Even though they go to like a Catholic girls' school or whatever it is, or whatever they're, I don't know if they're Protestant or Catholic, but it's still like, it's more about, you know, their everyday church stuff, nothing to do with...
That's right. They're getting on with their lives, and the only time the Troubles... And if you don't know the Troubles, it's the whole conflict that happened in Ireland between North and the rest. Is like if a bridge has been blocked or bombed, they can't get where they're going. Like, and they make it a comical situation, so I like that. But there's a bit of seriousness to it as well. But the cast have kind of gone on to a few good things. So Saoirse Monica Jackson's been in The Flash.
You mean Saoirse?
In the big Flash movie with like Michael Keaton. And
she's in Cruella as well, I think.
Yep, that's right. Jamie Lee O'Donnell was in a movie called Screw, or TV show called Screw, I should say, and Unwelcome. The one that most people would know would be Nicola Coughlan, who was she blew up in Bridgerton. Because she had
literally.
She had big busty sex scenes and she became a viral kind of sensation for a while there.
Well, she does the dance too. When they all did the dance and that took off, she was there doing the dance.
And the interesting thing is all of these girls, they're 16 in the show, but they're all being played by 20-somethings. You know, they're all about 25, 26, which at times you're like, no, they're completely believable, the 16-year-olds. And then at other times you're like, what's going on?
I kind of think that's why it had to stop at 3 seasons, because you've just aged out of the... But you know how... It's really weird in TV shows. It's rare that the TV shows will actually have the characters age. Like, if it starts off with it, they're all in high school. They're in high school for the whole show, regardless of whether the fact that have you been in like The Simpsons. Like Bart's been in grade 4 or grade 5.
He's been like 9
years.
for however long.
Yeah,
30 years. Yeah, hilarious. But also it has Ian McKenney in it, who plays the grandfather, and he was in the Aussie show I loved last year, The High Country.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's been obviously in Game of Thrones and a whole lot of it. He is hilarious as the grandfather in this.
He's in Hornblower as well.
Yeah. Hates the son-in-law who's been in the family for 17 years but treats him as if he's new. So good. So yeah, I've watched maybe 5 or 6 episodes. Love it, and I will keep watching it. Episode 1 just killed me though, because this is where they introduced the boy. He's because he's the cousin of one of them. He moves to this town of Derry, but because he's British, they need to put him in an all-girls school rather than the boys' school, just because of the nature of, you know, what's happening in society. And because he's the only boy in school, there's no restrooms for him, and he spends the whole episode busting for a piss. It's done well. It's very funny. So there you go.
And he's such a gormless character, because you'd think he would be King Dick. But he's just not the type. He's completely dominated by his cousin.
Oh, yeah, until the Russian girl comes.
Yeah. Which upsets Saoirse a little, not to give anything away.
Very, very funny. It's on Netflix. Check it out.
Hey everyone, it's me, Elon. You know, I don't have much spare time these days, but when I do, I always listen to Good Movie Monday. Glenn and Ben are geniuses. They're so funny. Anyway, I better get back to work. Oh, and by the way, stop trashing my stuff. Jeez.
I know that some of you probably use this opportunity to go for a piss or even a shit. It's the interview time, and
Yeah, because this is like a TV show and people have to keep it running. They can't just skip forward.
Well, yeah. Take the phone with you, people. So usually the interviews go anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, but this particular interview is 5 minutes. So stick around and listen to it. It's a short one.
It's amazing. It's amazing how different we view the show. I always think that people are listening to the show for the interviews. Yeah. And you're like, no, they're listening for us. I'm like, surely not.
Well, the comments I get are for us.
For us, yeah.
That's right. This is the interview's a cherry on top, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, David S. Sandberg and Gary Dauberman. These guys have directed the new film Until Dawn, which is an adaptation of the popular video game. It's an absolute cracker. I love this movie, and it's all done with practical effects, which is the best part, and we talk about that in a little bit. But if you don't know who these guys are, David S. Sandberg started off with movies like Lights Out, and then I think he did Annabelle Creation. He went on to make the 2 Shazam superhero movies.
I've seen 50% of his filmography then.
There you go. And this is his return to horror.
Right.
But he's teaming up with Gary Dauberman, who's the writer, who also came up through the Annabelle franchise. But he went and wrote the 2 It Chapter 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
So he's the guy behind that.
Half of those were great.
And he directed one of the Annabelle movies. I contemplated going back and watching them again, actually, just to look at it with a bit of hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'd be interested to see if I went back.
Yeah. I want to
How would I feel about part
enjoy
2?
the second half more than what I did, and I have a funny feeling I might. Like I said last week, persistence.
right.
Happened with Indiana Jones. It can happen with It Chapter
Sometimes
2.
you just have to watch a movie 7 times before you finally kicks in that it's good.
That's right. But don't worry, we're not going to pad this part out to make up that 20 minutes. So we'll jump straight to it. It's a shorter episode. Enjoy.
Up the road, there's a place stuck in time.
Every time we die, the night restarts, and something new is trying to kill us.
The only way out is to make it until dawn. Until dawn.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey,
Good.
oh good.
Is that your house?
Yeah, it's my home office.
Fantastic.
Oh, holy shit.
Look at that.
It's called being a complete introvert, living a life that way. I feel like
You're one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've hit the horror jackpot with you two guys. Congratulations on the film. It is it's bonkers, absolutely insane.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
So I guess my questions could go to either of you, but I'll start with Gary. The game and by extension your film is loaded with homages to horror films. I feel like it's the kind of property where you can wear the influences on your sleeve. I'm just wondering which particular films you lent into the most. Are there any sort of top tier movies that you sort of relied on?
It's funny. It's actually thinking about kind of working within the genre like we do. It's like you start to learn the tropes of each specific subgenre. So it wasn't like we took like one movie for each genre and kind of used that as the North Star. It was really about looking at a collection of movies within each genre, and you understand the tropes and things that are expected within the particular subgenre. And those became sort of the inspirations, or those became the things that we really wanted to include. So people were firmly planted in knowing that, okay, we're in this subgenre, we're in the supernatural bit now, we're in the slasher bit now, we're in the body horror bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like a specific movie for each subgenre. It was more about a collection of, tropes from that subgenre that really became the inspiration, helped sort of structure each particular sequence.
Sure.
And that was fun of it, that we could just draw from like a whole life of watching horror movies and like all the things that inspire us.
Yeah.
I assume the images of, I think it was Ella coming out of the ground, that's Evil Dead for sure.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it's always a huge inspiration. I love Sam Raimi, and I love that sort of fun horror movie. Like it's always an inspiration for me.
I thought being Evil Dead, like Dead by Dawn, might have been a direct nod there, but
no, I mean, it's right. I mean, you're right. It's lifted from but it's not lifted, but it just, I think so much of that stuff, just because it's infused in sort of what we do, that you just kind of don't know what you're,
Yeah. So sometimes you sort of realize after, it's like, oh yeah, bro, that's, it might be.
When you spend a life consuming this stuff, it's got to just come out sometimes without knowing.
That's right. Yeah, it just comes out.
So David, what's in your mind first and foremost? Adapting the game correctly, or just making a kick-ass horror movie?
Well, I mean, that was the great thing, that it wasn't a straight adaptation, that it is like another installment, or like a part of a bigger story. So that sort of took some of the pressure off, because I think it would have been very hard to do the game justice in condensed movie form. So this way, it's like more Until Dawn rather than the same. So, but it was very important, of course, to make something that people who hadn't played the game could enjoy as well. But we do tie it together with the movie, with certain characters and things in there that ties it all together.
For sure. What I loved most about it was it's an incredible showcase of practical in-camera effects. Like, absolutely spoke to me. Obviously, I'm a movie fan, so I love that stuff. And when you think about it, that's strange for a video game adaptation. So I'm wondering, is that something like PlayStation sort of were concerned about, given their stock in trade is CGI?
No, I mean, we worked with Carter Swan from PlayStation. I mean, he was all
There was no
with this.
pushback.
No,
No.
not at
They
all.
just wanted, they wanted the best movie.
And I think for horror movies in particular, a lot of horror fans like practical effects and these kinds of movies. So I think it was important to stay true to that, rather than making it animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Final question for you both. As movie geeks, I'm wondering, is there an end result in the film, be it a special effect or a line of dialogue, that gives you the most satisfaction?
I mean, for me, it's the bathroom scene where they drink the water, because from reading the script, I was like, I look forward to this the most. And it was the last thing we shot, so it was a lot of looking forward to it. And it is one of those rare occasions where it turned out exactly the way I imagined and hoped it would, which, when you're making movies, there's a lot of like compromises and things you have to work around, and it never like, it's not 100% what I, imagined, but that one turned out great.
It sure did.
Yeah, I have to agree. That was my favorite as well, and that was the one I was most looking forward to and most kind of scratching my head about. Like, how is this going to be? They were going to pull this off, but he did so brilliantly.
That is going to be the crowd pleaser right there. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you so much.
1990, the first known web page is created. The now defunct page could be found at lemonparty.org.
1990.
1990.
What was that dude? What's the dude from What We Do in the Shadows? Oh, 1990.
Matt Berry.
Man,
1990.
Imagine getting him as a voiceover on the show.
It'd be great.
Would be. Let's talk about 1990. We're still in the like run of good movies and strong contenders and blah 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 blah. Let's go through the top 10 as we do. Number 10 was Kindergarten Cop.
Yep.
Number 9 was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Number 8 was Presumed Innocent. That's a huge wow for me. I feel like that's much older.
Greta Scacchi was in a top 10 film.
Yes.
Australia's, like, because the selling point of that movie is her backside on the poster.
Not Harrison Ford.
Not Harrison Ford at all.
Number 7 was Die Hard 2. Number 6 was Back to the Future 3. 5 was Total Recall. 4, Dances with Wolves. 3, Pretty Woman. 2, Home Alone. And 1, Ghost. So much of these just don't add up to me. Like, I just feel like some are older, some are newer. I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I clearly remember when that came out, like absolutely vividly. And I also clearly remember when Kindergarten Cop came out, and I don't feel it was the same time.
It was the same year, yeah.
Yeah, it's so odd. But there we go. We're gonna.
It's not a tumor.
I'm at least you're gonna list the ones that you haven't seen.
I mean, I do have a couple.
All right.
That are
sure. So
like I've got my pick.
Yep.
And then I've got other ones that are like.
So maybe I'll just reel through some.
Go for it. Yeah.
But before we do, once again, Brody Kane has had a bit of input, and I swear he's just having input, so we can hear his name on the show.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, because I got a message from him the other day saying, "Oh, thanks for the mention, boys. Much appreciated." But he is waiting with an interesting one. He has said that there is one particular underrated movie from 1999, a horror movie. See if you can guess it.
A horror movie.
I'm putting my money on Frankenhooker. I reckon that's where his mind's going. Brody, you're going to have to let us know, mate. And he's cheeky because now he's established himself on the next show, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's ensured he's got a mention.
Yeah, Frankenhooker's a good choice.
It is. So let me go through some movies, horror and everything else. You've got Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, a.k.a. Leatherface, Tremors, Hard to Kill, Loose Cannon. I'm just going to skim
Hard
over
to
this.
Kill, the Jim Wynorski movie.
Is it Jim Wynorski one? No. Is there a Steven Seagal one?
Yeah, there is a Steven Seagal one, yeah.
That'll be it. Nightbreed, Cinema Paradiso, Hunt for Red October, House Party, Joe versus a Volcano, Nuns on the Run. Ha! Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah.
Ernest is like popping up all over the place.
It's Ernest time, but I think he may have already had he jumped the shark.
No, he was still theatrical at this point in time.
Right.
I think he's got one more to go, and then he's DTV, baby. Yep. Wild Orchid, Tales from the Dark Side, Class of 1999, Godfather 3, Men at Work, Delta Force 2, Darkman, Pump Up the Volume, Wild at Heart, Freshman, Adventures of Flawed Feline. I've literally got over 100 titles here, so I'm not going to go through them all. Troll 2, that's another horror one. Let me look at the horror movies and see if there are any others that might qualify. Psycho 2.
Wrote them all down.
Child's Play 2. Oh, Never Ending Story 2 came out then. Exorcist 3, that's clearly a banger. Flatliners, I've been talking to him about that off mic.
Graveyard Shift.
Yep, Young Guns 2, Problem Child. There's so many. Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's and Australia as well. You had Blood Moon.
What's Blood Moon? Because I think we mentioned Blood Moon last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think you're right.
I wonder what
came up in both lists. Then.
It's. I've noticed that. I'm assuming that you got a lot of this off Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I've noticed that on a couple of things, it'll appear in, and you're like, who's checking this?
Yeah, that's right. You know.
Yeah, there was a reason. There was this reason why you weren't allowed to use Wikipedia as a reference in your schoolwork, and it was because
we need to get an authority on the show.
Yeah,
that's what we need to do.
Depends on what country.
So
sometimes it came out in America before it came out in Australia, and vice versa.
Death in Brunswick, Blood Oath, Nirvana Street Murder, Struck by Lightning. There's some good ones here, but anyway, I'm not going to go through them all because that would just be tedious.
Ambulance. Did you say Ambulance? The Larry Cohen film?
No, I didn't. But do you remember we said last week that we try and guess each other's favourites?
Yeah. Oh, was that what you were going to guess for mine?
No, I've got two that I'm going to guess your favourites. I don't know if you haven't got your full list in front of you, so it's hard for you to guess what mine.
Well, I mean, it was going to be the what's the name movie? The Ernest.
No, it's not Ernest. There's only one Ernest movie that I'd class as like a best of that year. That would be the first one.
And possibly, look, for you, I would go with Dances with Wolves. Back to the Future 3.
Okay.
Was that year?
Yep.
And maybe because I know you're a bit of a Stephen King nerd, Misery.
Okay, no.
Okay.
So the two that I have gone with would be, the first one would be The Big Steal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just the best.
It's the best.
And Arachnophobia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, as a tie. Like the two movies I can't get enough of that are just perfect in every way. Wouldn't trim any fat from either of them if you had to go back and recut them. So there you go. I would guess for you either Pump Up the Volume.
Okay, sorry. Those were your choices.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, that's what you thought were mine. Okay. Pump Up the Volume. Yeah, very good. That is on my list of alternates.
And the other one would be Frankenhooker.
Yeah, that's it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
No, and I didn't put that in my list of alternates. Okay. As much as I love Frankenhooker.
Take it away then.
And Frank Hannon. No, look, it's in the top 10 of the year, and it's a sequel, which should make you happy. But Die Hard 2 for me.
I would never have guessed it.
A lot of people kind of think that Die Hard 2 is the weakest of the trilogy.
No, I don't.
But I have always loved it.
Mm-hmm,
I think I actually saw Die Hard 2 before I saw Die Hard. And I mean, it's like, was it William Sadler? What's his name? James. What's the guy's name? The guy he died not too long ago.
James.
It's not. I keep getting Edward James almost.
Yeah, no, it's not.
John Amos.
John Amos, of course.
John Amos is in it. Dennis France is in it. That guy who's like a politician now is the air traffic control chief or whatever it is. That guy is in it. Franco Nero is in it. Like who?
Of course, he's the terrorist.
The general, yeah. And like I have had a love affair with Franco Nero because I keep telling you about these. My grandmother only had like a selection of like 5 or 6 tapes of stuff that I would be in any way interested to watch. The rest were all like ballets and stuff.
Yep.
One of those was Enter the Ninja, with Franco Nero as the White Ninja.
I've got them over there somewhere.
Over there, yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
And so I was always, when I saw him in Die Hard 2, I'm like, oh, it's the White Ninja.
You've got Colmini in there. You've got Robert Patrick in there. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of the Marines.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's the
cast.
guy, I think, I could be wrong, but is it the guy who's in The Fugitive? You know how The Fugitive and in US Agents? I think he gets killed in US Agents, but he's like the
US Marshals.
US Marshal, sorry.
Yep.
He's the young guy that kind of...
With the ponytail in the first one?
Yeah.
He's not, I don't think he's in it, is he?
Is he not the guy that gets killed? He goes, God, I wish I was with you guys in Bogota. I wish you were too, kid. And they kill him?
I don't know.
Is it that guy?
It's been a long time. Well, it hasn't been a long time. I watched it recently, but I don't remember it.
Tom Everett's in it? William Atherton. All that stuff with William Atherton on the plane.
Oh,
She kicked me in the balls.
Bonnie
and
Vidala.
so good.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I agree with you. I think it's a really solid film. If you watch 1, 2, and 3 back to back, it's a great trilogy, and I don't think number 2 lets it down at all.
No, I think it's great. And the other ones I kind of, look, pump up the volume. Hunt for Red October, I reckon I would have watched. Hunt for Red October, Days of Thunder, and Die Hard 2 are the ones that I've watched on repeat the most.
Days of Thunder would be the next honourable mention, I think. And actually, like, if I were to sit down and go, well, what's the better film of the three of those, I'd say Days of Thunder. But like from a nostalgic point of view, I just think those two, 100%.
And Jim Belushi had 2 films in 1990.
Was one of them Taking Care of Business?
One of them was Taking Care of Business, which I, as a kid, loved. And then as I grew older, the other one, which was Mr. Destiny, yes. I also loved. I started to love more. But
a part of the love for those movies was just the cover art.
Yeah. But it was like, remember that, like, Jim Belushi, I feel like was like at the time one of the biggest stars in the world.
K-9.
Like K-9, The Principal.
Yep.
Taking Care of Business, Mr. Destiny, Real Men.
Oh, Real Men. Yes, 100%.
He was just in this string of bangers.
Stepped out from his brother's shadow and took off.
Yeah. Like I always liked Jim a lot more than I liked
Same.
John.
I agree completely. Predator 2, that's another one from that year. Rescuers Down Under. I got a soft spot for that one. So many. Jacob's Ladder. Oh, Jesus. Brody would have killed me if I didn't say Jacob's Ladder. So, the wrath of Brody. Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael. There's another one. Miller's Crossing. Yeah.
Yeah, Miller's Crossing is on my...
Could just go on. And, of course, so Young Guns too. Like, they've just recently talked about... Emilio's come out and said he's got a plot for number 3.
Young Guns 3, yeah.
And so that's sort of back on the cards, so...
And look, funnily enough, I don't think you've mentioned a lot of the movies that I was going to mention that I haven't seen.
Well, let's go through those.
So, Miami Blues.
Yeah, I've got them here.
I've seen like a scene. Yeah, we just didn't talk about it. Yeah,
No.
It's got. I've only seen that scene where he breaks the guy's thumb and kills him, and that was before. This was before TikTok and the internet. I don't know how I just happened to see that scene.
Yeah,
I've just never, and I've got to watch that movie and never gone back and watched it.
Well, speaking of Alec Baldwin, I watched that Rust documentary the other night. That's on Disney Plus or Star.
Oh yeah,
it's fascinating. Like, because they filmed everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, of course they would.
And it's just a really fascinating look into not only a film production, but what happens when something happens on tragic on set happens like that, and the cops arrive and it becomes a crime scene, and it's all on film.
Yeah, right.
And just incredible. Like, it's worth a look for sure. So sorry, digression.
Well, internal affairs and Q&A.
Yeah.
So that they tie in. Misery, which I've never seen, which I've talked before about. Never seen Misery.
I want to watch that with you.
And the Two Jakes.
Oh, one of the worst films of all time.
Yeah.
That'll be another viewing session for us, a bit like Police Academy, Mission to Moscow.
Yeah, right.
It's a movie you want to love, it's the reason the third one never got made. It was going to be a fully rounded trilogy. Jack Nicholson directed it,
right? Based
on a script by what's his name who did the first one,
Robert
Townsend. And it's just, you love a gumshoe movie.
I do love a gumshoe movie, and I love Chinatown.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'd heard that Two Jakes was terrible, so I just never watched it.
It's really terrible. It's heartbreakingly terrible.
Yeah.
It's got a great cover. Like, the poster is really good. And that alone makes you go, "Ooh, this is going to be good."
And someone put a clip up. I was thinking about it, funnily enough, earlier today, even before I started going through this list, because on TikTok or Instagram, someone had got that clip of Batman where he's putting on the suit and Jerry Hall comes up behind him and grabs him on the shoulder and goes, you look fine. And he kind of looks at him and goes, I didn't ask you. And he kind of looks down at her hand and she like takes it off his shoulder. And you're like, because he's kind of, it's the same kind of suit that he's wearing on that poster of Two Jakes. I'm like, he's so fucking cool.
He is not a great filmmaker.
No. Sometimes, you can't do everything.
Cool.
Sometimes the Coke budget is higher than the film budget, and the film suffers because.
Also, one's a film from the 70s, one's a film from the 90s. Like, they just don't gel.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size, and this week we're doing 1990. Chad, what's your pick?
Man, I gotta go with my obvious one. So we talked about last week that my Batman. What did I look forward to in the year 1990? More than Batman. If you're looking at the YouTube video, you can see in the shelf behind me, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It blew my mind seeing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live on the screen, and it was just everything that I could hope for. Shredder was amazing. Casey Jones. April was okay. She was just there.
She's a very nice person in person, though.
Yes. But
you can only act what the script gives you.
Yes, exactly. But the plot was amazing as they struggled to find Splinter. Raphael, who was just a goofball on the cartoon, now is this badass, angry, cussing menace. And oh my God, just the movie blew my mind. So I had to pick Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have one honorable mention I would like to cap at the very end.
Mine was really hard going between two absolutely outstanding picks, but I'm going to pick the one that's a little less obvious. It's the movie I saw that summer twice in the movie theater. I got to see it twice. And when that gremlin picks up that Uzi, my mind was blown. Gremlins.
It was hard.
Batch. My honorable mention was really hard too, but Repossessed will always be there for us, Chad. So will Navy SEALs.
Yep.
But that being said, Gremlins 2, it was the first time I'd ever seen a movie quite like that, where it was like, you know what, we're kind of going to shit all over the original one right now, and we're going to break the fourth wall in the middle of the movie for no reason with Hulk Hogan and Paul Bartel, and we're going to do it. And they let Joe Dante do whatever it is he wanted to do. They spent 3 times as much on that movie 5 years later, and 6 years later, than they did on the first movie, and it wasn't as successful. But Joe has always said that it's his favorite of the 2 Gremlins movies. It's the one that's most like him, and be damned if he ain't right.
And I love it.
I want to say,
son, though, will argue with you for an hour about why Gremlins is far superior to Gremlins 2. James.
I want to say Arachnophobia, but I'm actually going to go with the one that I thought Chad would actually go with, and I'm going to say Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it was
Cole Meany. It stars Cole Meany, Chad. How can you not like anything that stars Cole Meany?
Dick Tracy. I'm looking at the poster signed by William Forsythe right now, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was more important to me.
No, I get it. I mean, honestly, Ninja Turtles was what I was going to do because I thought you were going to take Dick Tracy. But Dick Tracy, I think, existed a weird moment because it starred Madonna and, of course, other, she'd done films, other things too. But I think it was this weird. I can remember it coming out and people talking about, it's going to have a musician in it. It's got a great cast. And sometimes it, quite frankly, is better than the material they're given. No,
the cast is better than the movie, yeah.
But yeah, and so I can remember seeing that in theaters, and it was also one of those movies, much like Batman, where the merchandise was everywhere. And so Dick Tracy wasn't just a film; it was, sounds cliche, but it was everywhere. So Dick Tracy.
Quick honorable mention. I'm going to go Darkman. I didn't see it that year in the cinemas. The reason I didn't pick it. Chad.
I'm glad you picked Darkman so I can say a movie that just blew my mind when I saw it. Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
I'm sticking with Arachnophobia. John Goodman in that movie is more fun than it should be.
I agree. I saw that in the theater too. Yeah.
I did.
All right.
Saw it at the Old Trail Theater, which is long gone.
Bonehead Weekly Fun Size.
Arachnophobia. It's good to see that.
That
getting a second mention.
I'm glad that Dick Tracy popped up. I saw this as a kid, and I was into it.
Same.
Like really, like to the point where I forced my parents to go to Hungry Jack's because they were doing Dick Tracy kids' meals, and the whole thing. And then I didn't see it again for 20 years or whatever. And Cinemaniacs played it, and I went to see it at the Backlot Cinema, and I was shocked at just how sexy Madonna is in it. Like, she's wearing like a sheer dress throughout the whole thing, and you're like, I can see everything. Like,
would have been
in HD.
in and around the time of the sex book, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. That erotica album.
Well, there was that thing too in I don't know if it was Down and Dirty Pictures or it was in one of those, I think it was, or it was, maybe it's in the Sony book. It's one of those books about movies, but they were talking about how when they were in the editing room of Dick Tracy, like Madonna had this kind of, thought that she was keeping Warren Beatty on a short leash, but he's like, it was the only time they'd have all these female executives would come down to the thing in tight sweaters and stuff like that. And he was just like, it was the editing suite was a revolving door that she knew nothing about. He was just banging interns and anything,
hilarious.
Anything that could come would walk past.
What I find quite amusing about Dick Tracy is the fact that right up until his late 70s, early 80s, Warren Beatty's been talking about doing a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, as if, imagine that. Like,
he could do he could play like retired. You'd have to get someone else to play young Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's a pretty. It's not that it's an ordinary movie, but it's not. It's any of those things when the villains are so like it works really well in the comic book.
Yeah.
When you see Lips Manless and Flat Top and stuff, they kind of look a bit.
It was just also such a quirky movie that it kind of worked because
it's just
of
very kidsy.
The odd nature of it. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's definitely kind of a very kind of kidsy thing, except for Madonna's tits, which are there for the dads, obviously.
Well, speaking of tits, should we move on to our movie battle?
Oh, let's do it.
This is one that you chose.
This is one that I chose.
Explain yourself. I have a few things to say about this.
Well, I just like talking about sex comedies, and I purposely put them there just to screw you over a little.
Okay.
Because
you certainly screwed me over, and I'll explain why.
Okay. Because I can't remember what it was. It was one of the first or second ones, and I messaged you, and I went, I haven't seen these movies, and you're like, well, you've had it's been on the list for like months.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, if that's how it is, and I just didn't look at I didn't look at the sheet during the whole off period, so I'm like, I'm just going to put a bunch of things onto this list, and I'm not going to worry about whether or not you've seen them or not. I know I've seen them.
If they're on the list, I will have seen them by the time we record.
Good,
I can tell you, I watched both of these in the past week,
and I hope you enjoyed yourself.
So, what movies do we have? Did you say more?
No, we talked. We talked about it in the head of the show. It's My Tutor
and Private Lessons.
Private Lessons My Tutor. This is interesting. So Private Lessons was directed by Alan Meissen, who directed Police Academy 5. Assignment Miami. He's only directed, I think, 2 other films.
Yep.
And the other one that he directed, funnily enough, was that him? Hang on. No, it's My Tutor directed it. He's only directed Police Academy 5, Mission Miami Beach. Assignment Miami Beach, sorry. Yep. The other guy, George Bowers, who directed My Tutor, he directed Private Resort.
Yeah.
Which is the movie that, when we were watching Mission to Moscow, and I was saying she was in that, Leslie Estabrook has like done one other movie that I'm familiar with, and it's Private Resort, where she's like the sexed up wife of like a guest at the resort who Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow is his sidekick try and sleep with.
There's a career that didn't go anywhere. It went somewhere and then nowhere.
And then,
look, can I just look? This is no battle for me. My Tutor wins hands down.
Yeah,
because for the first time, and this is where you really fucked me over. For the first time, I felt wrong watching Private Lessons. You know me, like my threshold is like, I will watch anything and I'm not offended by anything. I'm watching this thinking, this is so fucking inappropriate. I'm feeling really uneasy watching this. And the more I watch it and the more I read into it, I'm like, I should feel fucking uneasy. Like, it is pretty rank, man.
It's pretty, like, I mean, look, it's different when you watch it for the first time.
I saw it when I was young, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's much like if you watch it when you're 15.
Yeah.
It's everything you want.
It's every boy's dream. So it is essentially about like a 15, 16-year-old boy that's been seduced by like a 30-year-old woman who's his tutor. But there's a scheme.
Oh, no, sorry. So you're talking about My Tutor,
Private Lessons.
So she's the maid.
She's the maid. But there's an ulterior motive as to why she seduced him and all that. But he, in real life, was that age. Whereas in My Tutor, similar kind of setup, they were adults playing young.
Yeah. Although Matt Lattanzi does look...
But he was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And I think Crispin Glover was 21.
Crispin Glover actually... This is the first time in any pairing where I've got Crispin Glover looks older than Matt Lattanzi.
And I've got to say, like, between these two movies, I laughed out loud a lot with My Tutor. Private Lessons, it was just... I was shaking my head the whole time.
Yeah, look, Private Lessons isn't really a comedy. It kind of is, but not really.
Well, before it gets into the really awkward stuff,
Yeah.
the dynamic between the two boys is wonderful. Like the little fat kid on the bike and they're pervy boys, which I was into it. I'm like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
But then when the filmmakers crossed the line and actually put this young boy in the situation, I felt parental. I'm like, nah, like this is a bit of a line for me.
Is Ed Begley Jr. his dad?
Yeah, he's yes, he goes away.
He goes away
and leaves the boys. Yeah, but anyway,
and does Howard Hessman, who's the butler, does he pretend to be gay?
Oh, I don't think so. No, didn't.
Or does he sleaze on Sylvia Christel?
I got 45 minutes in. And I turned it off.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
No, because I felt that icky.
Did you get to the part where she fakes the heart attack? At least.
Don't recall,
because that's the whole thing of the show of the whole
No, they had just had the bath together.
Yeah, right. See, she seduces him.
Mm-hmm.
So spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it and you're going to see it, I apologize. I'm going to give it away. So she basically sleeps with him, and it kind of carries on. And then at one point they're having sex, and she has a heart attack and dies on top of him.
Yep.
And then Howard Hessman kind of, he is the only person he could talk to, helps him get rid of the body.
Yep.
And then blackmails him for all his father's money.
I remember this from when I was a kid, but I didn't get up to it in the room.
Thing. And then you find out that it's actually she's in on it with... She's an unwilling participant, but she's in on it with Howard Hessman. And they're
such a grotty film. It's so yuck.
I still love it.
Jan de Bont did the cinematography.
Yeah. And there is funnily enough, so My Tutor is different. My Tutor is a much more kind of, I mean, look, it's similarly
it's an American Pie style sex comedy.
Yeah. But it's a much sweeter kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, I guess he's old enough because they've graduated high school. He's kind of doing summer school. He's flunked French, and his father, played by Kevin McCarthy, wants him to get into Yale, where he went to school.
Yeah.
Yale. So,
yep.
How do I say Yale?
Yale.
So he hires Karen Kay to be his tutor for the summer. His last, summer, and teach him French. So he needs to get 85% on the makeup exam.
Yep.
In order to get into Yale, and they have an affair. So she's like 29, he's 18, 19. So it's kind of legal, but he's a virgin.
Yep.
He's trying to, and he's there's so much awesome stuff happens with him trying to get and not getting laid. Like they go to a brothel.
Crispin Glover on the wheel. Oh, is just hysterical.
It's hilarious. How he gets off it, I don't know. But he I think they pick Kitten Natividad. He gets picked for him.
So here lies the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Right. And you know the hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
So this Kitty Natividad comes on and she's a porn star from Spain or something like that?
Well, at the time, I don't know if you read the trivia about the making of this film, but she was just a student at the time. All of the girls who kind of get naked were working with strippers.
Yes.
Because apparently it was this... In the 80s, it's very much, I don't do nudity, I'm an actress.
So they have to go and get chicks that would.
Yeah, so they just would go to strip clubs. And
she's got the biggest tits you've ever seen, right? So I'm watching it, and I pause it, right, on the tits. And Mel comes in, and I said to her, check out the tits on her. Like, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, Sean, come here. My son, Sean, who's now in his 20s. I said, mate, do you remember those? He goes, no. I said, remember that old bird that I made you get up on stage with at that film fair that time with the tits out? And it's her. So here's me complaining
Yeah.
about these young
And how
boys
old-
being in
he
these
would have been about
situations.
13 at the time?
He would have been about 9
9.
at the time. And I made him. She didn't strip though. She didn't strip. Like,
No, but she forced him to motorboat her, didn't she?
No. It was actually quite harmless what happened on stage, but it was the fact that I put him on stage with a porno star.
Yeah.
But no, he just got up there, did a little bit because he used to do videos for us dancing, little
Right.
hip hop videos. So I said, go up there and do your dance, and he did, and he got off. So it was not like that salacious, but the hypocrisy of me feeling uncomfortable watching this movie because of this kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, you know that the guy who
Doesn't
directed
escape me.
the guy who directed My Tutor, George Bowers,
Mhm.
he's primarily known as an editor, and he edited big movies like Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, From Hell, A League of Their Own, Sleeping with the Enemy, and a bunch of like the sex comedies like Pom Pom Girls and Galaxina and stuff. But Private Lessons was directed by 2 people. The second guy, James Fargo, he directed Every Which Way But Loose, Outlaw Jersey Wales.
Yep.
The Enforcer, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, a personal favourite of mine. And we were talking about HOTS. Yeah. Pamela Jean Bryant from HOTS is actually in.
So it's
Private Lessons.
O.T.S.
Yeah. In case you're looking for the correct one. But they kind of made the thing that's so weird is that they kind of made an unofficial sequel to this called They're Playing with Fire. Mm-hmm. It's Eric Brown again, but this time he's in college.
Right.
And Sybil Danning is the teacher, but it actually has a kind of a dark Chris McDonald. Is it Chris? No, he's in the other one because they also redid it again in the 90s called My Teacher's Wife with Chris McDonald, Jason London, and Tia Carrera.
Yep. Okay.
But basically that one, it's Sybil Danning is kind of seducing him and doing that whole thing that Kim Basinger tries to do to Garth in Wayne's World 2, which is, maybe if my husband wasn't around, we could be together, and just kind of
suggest.
She's trying to get him to. But then, there's a guy in a mask with a knife turns up and starts bumping them all.
Didn't
off.
they do like Private Lessons 2 and 3, and they were like erotica films?
No,
no,
that I know of.
I reckon they did.
They did Story of O like that, but I don't remember Private Lessons.
Keep talking about it, and I'll have a look.
But so they're Playing with Fire was.
They did. Private Lessons 2. Let me go back to the 1993.
Oh, that's 12, 13 years later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like
are they part of the?
No, it's completely standalone. I'm sure.
No, but is it the same theme? Like where it's a young.
An insecure young Asian man played by Japanese pop star Goro Inagase meets an interesting, sensual European woman who teaches him the secrets of love and life.
Anyway.
Anyway.
All with a bunch of large pixels covering up the in and out bits.
That's right.
So you know what? The best, don't get me wrong, Private Lessons has a great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But My Tutor, the theme song to My Tutor, which is, I think it's called My Tutor, or
soundtrack was amazing.
Is so good.
Yep.
It's of a quality. I would say My Tutor is actually. It's now I hadn't seen it since I was a horny teenager.
Yeah.
But it's up there with Fraternity Vacation for me in terms of pure entertainment and awesome soundtracks.
Excellent. Oh, gay porn just came up on my screen.
Yeah, magically just accidentally came up. It's not in my...
I went back a space.
Close the extra tabs.
Brody, that infestation is still on, mate.
Yeah. So I guess that both of us agree that My Tutor is a superior film here.
Yeah, even if I didn't feel icky about Private Lessons, I still think I'd go that way. I just think it's a better movie. I think it's just fun.
Yeah, look, I found that Private Lessons... It's a bit more of a drama.
Yeah, if they'd maintained that early stuff with the 2 boys, it being just little pervy guys that it could have been like Good Boys. It could have been like that.
It's a summer camp movie, not in a summer camp. But then everything that you want to happen in the summer camp movie actually happens to him. But you're like, by today's standards, it's quite gross.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd feel that way, but I did.
Yeah,
there we go.
You're maturing as a person, and I don't like it.
Boom. Rapid fire. the only rapid fire segment on any show that takes a long time to get through.
Yeah.
Stupid name. Recommendations. Let's go back to the old way. Recommendations, Ben. Do you want to take this one, or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I can go. I had the pleasure of watching one of Wim Wenders' first films, which I had never seen before. One of his road trilogy movies.
Is it Paris, Texas?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen many Wim Wenders films like at all.
I've seen quite a few. To the End of the World is a good one. I like that. It's one that's shot on nearly every continent, but mostly Australia.
Is that with William Hurt? Is
Yeah.
William Hurt in that? Yep.
And the other one I love, obviously, the two Wings of Desire and Far Away So Close. Those German angel movies. The City of Angels, but the
City of
German ones.
The German ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen Perfect Days.
Yeah. Oh, and I
may have
love
seen-
$1 Million Hotel.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I hate Jeremy Davis so much.
We've spoken about this one a few times. It's a movie that gets better for me every time I watch it.
I've got to look. I watch it in. Admittedly, I don't like Jeremy Davis, and I watch it in the video store while I was serving customers. Not an ideal.
Yeah, I know. Mel Gibson's a gumshoe. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Look,
Give it a
I'll
shot.
have to give it a proper
Give
go.
it a shot.
But this Alice in the Cities is a It's about this guy. He's an American. He's a German photo kind of journalist. He's not even a photojournalist. He's just a journalist, and he's in America, traveling around the country for a month, and he's supposed to write a story on America, from the perspective of a of a European. And he ends up getting writer's block, and he can't finish the story. He goes to see his publisher, and he's got all these Polaroids that he's taken of his trip and stuff, but he hasn't written the story, and the guy gets furious and refuses to give him his advance and stuff. So he basically has to go back to Germany, and he goes to the airport, and there's an air controller strike in Germany, so he can't. No airlines are going there.
Nothing's gone this guy's way.
No, so the best that they can do is fly him into Amsterdam the next day, and he has to catch a bus or a train from Amsterdam to Germany. And there's another woman at the airport with her 9-year-old daughter Alice, she doesn't speak much English, so she wants him to help, do the same thing help her get her ticket and stuff. And then they decide to kind of go out for dinner together, and he's got like they're in New York at the time, and he's got this woman that he's kind of seeing whenever he's in town, and she kind of cracks the shits and kicks him out, so he has to go and stay with this woman in her hotel room. And when he wakes up in the morning, she's gone and left a note saying, I'll see you and left her daughter there with him. I'll see you at the what's the stupid big building in New York? The
Chrysler?
No, the
Empire State
Building.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the Empire State Building at 1:00.
Yeah.
1:00 comes, 1:00 goes. She has not turned up. He goes to the airport.
It's not Nancy Travis, is it?
No. He goes back to the hotel to see if she's left any messages. And the guy says, yeah, look, she checked out an hour ago. She said she left you this note. And the note's like, please, I've got something to do. Can you please take Alice with you?
Yeah.
And I'll be in Amsterdam the next day, I promise.
Okay.
So he's kind of like, he doesn't have much choice. He does it. Next day comes, next day goes, she doesn't turn up.
Sounds fascinating.
And so then he's basically stuck with Alice, and she kind of comes up with the idea of maybe you can drop me with my grandparents, but she can't remember where in Germany they live.
Oh, man. I need to watch this. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's this long road movie with this 9-year-old girl she's like, they literally gets to the point where they're driving down streets to see if she recognizes anything.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
What year was it?
1974. Shot in black and white.
Out.
On 16 mil.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It is a great film. It's really great. And the stuff at the start, the road trip of America stuff, I almost wish that they hadn't done the rest of it, because just him, the travelogue stuff with just him, and it's not focused on him, just him stopping at a roadside cafe or at a gas station or he goes to the
Americana.
He goes under the beach. Yeah, the Americana stuff of the 70s is just so magical, so beautifully shot.
Well, it sounds like Nebraska.
Yeah, it's just I almost wish that he would have done given Europe the same treatment.
Yeah, sure.
But
I kind of wish I'd done something classy like you now. Instead, I went back to 1981 and did the Boogans.
The Boogans.
The Boogans, man, like this is not a great movie by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but boy, was it fun. So it's a creature feature. It's about these friends that go to this old mine that's recently reopened. It's a silver mine, and they take the work and they go down there. It's been closed for 100 years because of a massacre that happened all that time ago. Blah, blah, blah.
When will people in movies learn that the sites of massacres are not to be trifled with?
Exactly. And they end up, lo and behold, digging up some kind of weird turtle spider.
A boogan.
A boogan. It's like a turtle spider. It's a weird thing. And then they get out of the mine and they just wreak havoc on the town. So it's essentially the formula is like every other creature feature. It's not as good as most of the creature features, but it's got something about it that I can't quite put my finger on. I like the production of it. I like the concept. I think it takes a long time before they get to the mine and actually get these creatures out.
Yeah.
But the stuff that does happen, the antics, and it's a bit of a sex comedy, if you will, for the first 30 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah, right.
But I still enjoyed that setup. Rebecca Balding's in it. She went on to do Charmed and Soap. Fred McCarran did Hill Street Blues and Class Reunion. And Marie Martin, who was in Prom Night, ended up marrying Michael Crichton, and she wrote Twister.
Wow.
So she's in it. And John Crawford is a classic actor that was in all those disaster movies back in the 70s, Tower and Inferno. So it's got a pretty good cast, directed by James L. Conway, who became the vice president of Spelling Entertainment.
Wow, worked for Aaron
Spelling, and then he directed a whole lot of Star Trek, all of the different incarnations, whether it was Deep Space Nine or Enterprise. He did a whole lot of those. So from the Boogans, he went on to be like a CEO of a company. Written by Jim Kauf, who wrote Class. He wrote The Hidden. He wrote Stakeout, Rush Hour, National Treasure.
How good is The Hidden?
It's great. So
this
is a movie that, I think it's fair to say for most people would be like an obscurity. Like a lot of people have never heard of it. It's a bit like Legend of Boggy Creek. It's one of those, if you know it, it's pretty popular.
I always thought it sounded a lot like The Borrowers. But it's not at all.
No, and you don't really even see these creatures that much. When they're out, and it was just a cost-saving thing. Like, let's just not put them on camera because we can't create them. But you get a bit of it.
Imagine if the turtles are fast. That's the premise of the horror movie.
A pretty cool poster which you would have seen on the screen a few moments ago. Yeah, just 1981. It's on YouTube. Go check it out if you love a good. This is an alternative kind of horror movie. Like if you've watched all the other creature features and you're tapped out and there's nothing left. Try the Boogans.
Try the Boogans. If you've watched every single other creature feature ever made, go watch the Boogans. Yeah. I actually watched it. I snuck in another film.
Oh my God, what's going on here?
I'll quickly mention because it's a weird. It's one of those Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce, Sherlock Holmes movies.
Okay.
It only goes for an hour, so it's does it really count as a film or is it just an episode?
Depends what year it was.
Well, it's 1946.
Yeah, that would class as a film.
Yeah. Because I think it's I don't even know if it's an hour, 59 minutes.
Because people would go to movie houses to watch them.
Yeah.
I would class that as a film.
Look, all I'm going to say, it's not the best one of these. It's not the worst one of these. It's pretty good. But there is an actress in it, Renee Godfrey, who's an American, but she's playing a British woman, and her accent is... that she's got something to do with the thing because her accent keeps going from posh to poor, but it's because she's like a native New Yorker and she's actually got a strong New York accent. But this woman is so ridiculously stunning that it almost hurts to look at her. And she was in maybe 5 or 6 other movies. She kind of quit the movie business, had a family, and then came back. But then she ended up getting cancer and dying by the time she was in her mid-40s.
Oh, Jesus.
And just never got to fulfill the potential. And it's such a shame because I was literally blown away by how good-looking she was.
Far out.
And she doesn't even get to do that much in this movie. And you're like, wow.
And what was it called?
It's Terror by Night.
Terror by Night. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It'll be on the screen too. I hope there's a poster for it.
There certainly is. Yeah, fantastic. It's a great poster. And funnily enough, though, it's actually not the one I wanted to watch the one because I've got them on my thing, and it was the poster of another one. It was the one that I wanted to watch, and I thought I was watching The Woman in Green.
All right.
But the synopsis I read was the one about because takes place on it's a train ride.
Yep.
A theft happens on the train, and that Sherlock Holmes has been hired to protect this jewel. And the thing that's so upsetting about these movies, really, at least in this case, is that so they're traveling on the train with this jewel, and they're doing everything they can to keep it secret, and they've hired Sherlock Holmes as double protection to keep it safe. Sherlock Holmes does not stop talking loudly in front of everyone on the platform, in the dining car. Like he pulls the jewel out and waves it around. He does not any way.
It's the magic of movies, mate.
Yeah. If there's any reason why it was going to be stolen, Sherlock Holmes is 100%.
Not only did they talk loud back then, but they talked like this.
Yeah. Of course.
I see what you're doing there.
But it did really make me want to go back and watch Without a Clue.
Oh, yep. Second week in a row, that's had a name drop. Excellent.
Yeah.
I think the universe is telling us that we should. Time to wrap it up, because since we rolled right at the beginning, I've been hanging on to the biggest piss of my life. Time to open up floodgates.
Let's see how your animation skills are if you can animate some urine.
Do it again. Ready? Excellent. All right. Don't forget our socials. Hit us up, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.